Hey everybody, Datu Tim here with Guru George, and welcome back to the Modern Arnis Minutes. Today's topic is going to be a system from Modern Arnis. It's called the Single Sinawali Application Drill. It got a little confused with some other things. It's not Sinawali boxing, and it's not the open hand translation to a defensive tactics move. It's actually a drill the professor used for capturing and seizing. So I'm going to go over that today, but please, before we start that, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit that notification button, and please, by all means, feel free to share this video anywhere you'd like. And with no further ado, it's now time for the Modern Arnis Minutes. Okay, everybody, what are we doing today? So we're going to go over a drill called Single Sinawali Application Drill. So the reason why we're doing this is recently, there's been a video floating around the internet of someone doing it, and there isn't enough description in the video, and the execution could have been done a lot better, and people are trash talking the material and or the person. I really don't care about the person. What I care about is the art of Modern Arnis, which I've been doing exclusively since 1985. So, the drill is about seizing and capturing. For those who never worked with Professor Presas, one of my teachers, my primary instructor, he had this presence, and I can't explain it. When he put hands on you, you were putty in his hands. There was nothing you could do to stop him. He had this power and control. And once he touched, he had you. The Single Sinawali Application Drill is a capturing and seizing drill to build the attributes to catch something out of the air and make it into a lock control. It's done with and without stick. So I'm going to take this through the ABCs. We're going to start doing it with a stick, unarmed, and then having that seizing or capturing drill. Hopefully, what this will do is give the information to the people who, for everyone, but specifically the people who were misunderstanding what the intent of the video was, and fill in the blanks. Now, if you don't like what we're doing, I'm okay with that, but if you understand, my goal is to make people understand and say, I get what you're doing, but I prefer to train it a different way. Okay, with no further ado, let me get George in here, and let's get into it. Okay, so let's start off with the basic thing. It's all built on a Sinawali called Single Sinawali. Why Single Sinawali? Because ultimately it should have been done with one stick. It's where our tappy-tappy or solo-baston semi-sparring comes from. Those are other videos. Let's talk about this right now. So first of all, whatever puño grip you have, Professor always did 1 to 2 fingers, not much more than that. So let me just move a little farther. We're going to try to stay in frame here. So it is number 1 angle. Okay, so original angles of attack. It would be the right number 1, and the right number 8, a left number 1, a left number 8. I use a simplified version of this, but it's okay. I do different counting methods. But it's a high 5 and a low 5. So we do Single Sinawali. High, low, high, low. We try not to windshield wiper. Well, that's bad. They belong on cars, not in Sinawalis. So we come back, we swing out and back, out and back. What do we strike with? The sticks are the tool, but it's truly the angles of attack. Now let's ditch the sticks and talk about why we ditch the sticks. So, for those who are around Professor, that was prior to September 11th. So we would go to events, and I would be with the host, or when I was hosting them, I would pick them up at the airport. And there was no TSA, there was the metal detector that I'd be able to walk through, and sometimes I had blades on me, small ones. But I could go to the gate to get him. I could go to the gate to drop him off. So when we would drop off, Professor would be like, all right, we'd get there early. And he's looking around, looking around. He's looking for newspapers and or magazines to do the Sinawalis with. Sometimes we didn't have those. So what would we do? We would practice Sinawalis without sticks at all. So right here we have Single Sinawali, high 5, low 5. Now, when you do it unarmed, you have a tendency of getting a little more windshield wipery. You know, we can move back a little and reach out more. But this is that number 1 attack and that number 8 attack, that number 1 attack, that number 8 attack. And you can actually do forearm conditioning with this. I'm working on hitting the face, possibly, and then hitting afterwards with a hammer. There's a couple different applications. One other thing we can do is we practice double Sinawali or reverse Sinawali. Now, this actually has a lot of validity to it because there could be a couple things. One, you may not have sticks or enough sticks. 2, it could be someone that just doesn't have that skill set yet. You don't feel comfortable putting sticks in their hands, or maybe there's a hesitation with them using the sticks. I teach men, women, and children. I've taught people as young as 3-year-old. Actually, I used to teach martial arts as an enrichment program at some of the daycare and preschools in the area. I've taught 2.5-year-olds martial arts. Now, basic punching and kicking, not the sticks. But the sticks, I have students that are here that do the angles of attack at 3.5 years old. Those are not the norm. Those are the exceptions. But I take kids in as young as 3.5, and we do Sinawalis with them. We do the angles of attack and stuff like that. Now, obviously, at that age, much less level of expectation. You know, and that's why if you get a chance, look at the our series called the Little and Junior Arnis Project. It's FMA for children. So I've got a couple episodes out right now. I'll put a link up here so you can check that out. So, but if the person doesn't feel comfortable, you go open hands. But now what Professor would do is I talked about that vortex of violence. Think about sticks, hands, weapons, all this stuff moving around. And when he reach out and capture. So when we're doing the Sinawali, here's that position. The hand's there, the hand's down there, the hand's here. Oh, look, for a fraction of a second, this hand is, they're at this junction here where I can learn how to capture this. So we would start off right here. And the first one I would do is come up here and do the standing center lock. Now, we're not going to enter this way in the street. You know, hands could be up here like this, and all of a sudden, bang, and I do a finger lock or something. I actually did this move, the center lock. I used to work security, and things happened. My hand came up, the person grabbed the block, and I took it in a standing center lock and walked them out the door. The funny thing was, this was before Professor came up with the drill. I had no influence on it, but when he first showed me the drill, or maybe he had the drill, he never showed me at the time. But he showed me that technique, and I walked up, Professor, I know that works. And then I told him the story, and he was smiling. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. But what I do is, from this position, his hand is going this way. So I go with it, I capture it, and here's our standing center lock. Okay? So, from the bottom, I could grab the thumb and do the exact same thing. There was a lot of jiu-jitsu. So when people made those comments about, you know, patty cake jiu-jitsu, Professor Presas loved to lock and control. I used to always joke that it was called stick jitsu. He was also best friends with Wally J, so there's a whole bunch of things. But the difference between the two, Professor, if you remember old school comics, he was like, Professor Wally J was like Droopy Dog. You made me mad. And grab you by the finger, spin you around, no effort. Professor was the Tasmanian devil and would just wreck people with good technique, which was crazy. So here's 2 entries for the same. I can go here and follow this and go the standing center lock. I can do this on the bottom and do the thumb and do the standing center lock. Another one he would do is a double trap. So we'd actually start working some of our stick pins in here. So we go high, we're going high-low, and he would grab, pin, strike up here. Now that's a strike. I'm hitting him. If he doesn't block, I strike him. But I go here, there he strikes. Then the next time he does this, I pin and I hit from there. Now I'm learning how to use part of my body as another appendage to help trap and tie him up. So I don't want to go too fast with this stuff because I want you to see the context of what's going on. So what I like doing with this one, I grab, pin, pull the back of the hand here, I strike, and I'm striking. I see people do this, that's crap. He's like, give me 5. That's what it really is, give me 5, you know. I swing to hit him, he blocks. Now that energy, because he's pushing while I'm pushing him, gives me the ability to pin this to my chest. While that's happening, I strike. I strike, I strike. Okay? Another one he would do is he'd go here like this, pop, and he'd pull it back on this side more. Why would I do all this stuff? Because it's a stick technique. So what Professor would do, swing comes in here, pop, swing over. What did I tell you the first time? If he doesn't block, I hit him in the head. He blocked because we hit each other in the head. So swing, I feed this shot there. I bring the hand back, I can pin this, hit, I can do other things from there. These were some of the stick techniques Professor would teach us. And I think, in my opinion, this drill came about was probably with all these lessons he would teach in the airport. You know, like this one right here, you go, oh, feed the shot out there was the stick, there's that stick pin, pop. And then he'd have a lock in here and all this other stuff. He would do different captures where he'd come up here and do a center lock in that position. You know, we would do one, the palm center lock, where he puts an extra trap in here, I hit the person and lock. And that was off of our obstruction removal, where he would swing over here and George would block the shot and Professor would just drop you from there. No, this is not how we would fight in the street. I mean, it's like people who do pushing hands. You don't push your hands in the street. You know, sit there, here, let's do this. No, what happens is practicing pushing hands builds a coordination and a sensitivity that you use that attribute in the street, right? You see boxers jumping rope all the time. You see the benefit of that training, that endurance and that lightness in the ring as they express themselves, but you don't see them jumping rope while they're in the ring. This drill is just like that. All right, so we're gonna wrap up in a minute here. I'll give you my final thoughts on that. Okay, so let's wrap things up here. So we went over the single Sinawali. We went over how it was used to teach open hand Sinawalis, as well as to teach capturing drills. I truly believe, as I mentioned before, that this really developed because Professor would do a lot of teaching when there was no sticks around, and a lot of those times were in airports. I hope this puts it in the context of the way it was meant, and even if this isn't the way you like training these types of attributes, if it made you understand it better, that's my goal. It's not about making people like what we do. It's making people understand what we're doing and why we're doing. If there's anything else out there you see in Modern Arnis, by all means, this season of the Modern Arnis Minutes, I'm trying to get feedback from people. So if there's topics you want covered, please, by all means, send this in. If you like the material, I'm going to have some links below. If you want to do some training, I do hybrid classes where you can actually log in and train with me virtually if you're not in the Buffalo area. If you're in Buffalo, my school's Horizon Martial Arts in West Seneca. We also have the Modern Arnis University, which is a videos on demand on how to add Modern Arnis to what you're doing, whether it be you're looking to do it as a training program or even potentially getting certified and ranked to be able to teach it. Once again, thanks, George, for helping out. If you have, like I said, once again, just reach out to me if you have any questions or there's other topics you want to suggest. All right, so as usual, everybody, please stay safe and stay sane. This is Datu Hartman saying thank you for tuning in, and those were your Modern Arnis Minutes.